Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. And
This is
actually,
not
we're
fun
just, this is
size.
not fun size.
No,
Welcome to
you've
Bonehead
done it.
Weekly. We could totally do fun size, but we're doing a full episode. And on this episode, it's
We're
the spooky season.
yeah, and we're digging through the ditches and
Oh,
burning through the witches.
I was going
My
to do that
wife. Oh,
joke
so
earlier today and forgot that I was going to do it.
my wife, by the way, has a shirt that says 1692. They missed one, and I'm not going to comment on that because my wife's a lovely person and not at all known to hex people
She's mischievous in the best,
like a badger.
like a
I
bat.
like to. I like to picture her as a mischievous badger. Sorry.
She is a mischievous badger, and she's a loving beaver.
So one of the pieces of feedback we get, because we ask you all for feedback, and we don't get much, but I did a little weird intro about aliens, and we got one comment. Thanks, Barb, about that. And
From our
so
listener.
yeah,
You're my
that's for
subscriber?
that's for the fan to decide. So I wanted to do this for witches just to provide some context. So hopefully this showed up somewhat
And
correctly.
by the way, for our podcast listeners,
It's yeah, it's a screen that. But what I'm going to actually do.
James has built a PowerPoint for a podcast,
All
people.
of 4 slides, but it's honestly much like PowerPoints that I use when I teach. It's to keep me on track. So, what is a witch? Well, there's a thousand different answers depending on what pop culture you look at. So, I thought let's look at the history of words and the fun with that.
The
Um,
history of words. We're
the
going to.
English term witch actually comes from the Old English. Wick with an e ended in e was female, and Wicca, which was actually the male term. So when you say Wiccan, technically you're using masculine
So you're
term.
saying a
If
female male.
no, a female was a Wick, Wicce, and the male witch was a Wicca, Wicca. So that was someone who practiced witch or witchcraft in Old English. However, obviously that term didn't originate in Old English. There's biblical references to witches, so they think there's debate over this, but they think it actually could come from the Proto-Germanic word Wichjaz, which would be Wikkjaz if you Anglinize it, and that meant someone who wakes the dead. Um, or it could also come from the Proto-Indo-European word, which would be pigwake or pigweek,
That looks
which
like Pie Week to me. What do you think, Chad? It
I'm
says
sorry.
PIE-WEIK. If I was to
Yeah,
pronounce
yeah.
that phonetically, Pie Week. And what week? When is
You
that
just
week?
want to have a week of pie.
Yeah, that looks
Anyway,
like Pywick
so
week.
that actually
Pie
meant
Week.
someone that had a strength or a divination or a ability to separate and divide. So
James, if they have a week full of pies, that is their strength.
I would agree. And if you can summon pies, I don't care if it's
Especially one of them chocolate cream pies.
I don't care if
Nom,
it's a
nom, nom, nom.
good if you're a good witch or a bad witch. You got pie summoning ability. We need to have a conversation. But the other question would be, why aren't you taking care of world hunger? Is it pot pies? Can you do pot
But you're
pies,
going to
or
give
is there only
everybody
one type of pot?
diabetes. You give them all those
Well,
carbs,
that's why I
fats,
ask
and
about pot
sugars.
pies, like chicken pot pies. That may not give people diabetes. By the way, never mind. I'll tell you all something later. So this begs the question though, because a lot of times people think witches are female, warlocks are male. Well, actually, the term for that, the English term, is very different. A warlock was actually came from the term warloga, which meant someone who broke an oath, and they were tied to the devil, which makes the warlock poster.
Yeah.
Uh, the devil also only has one son. That much more actually relevant because the idea was that this was somebody that you had great magic power given to them because they were able to break oaths. They were able to, separate themselves from churches and God and all that stuff. And so even today, I found this interesting when I was doing research for this. Even today, there are actually some branches of Wiccan faith and pagan religious groups that still do not like the term warlock because of that history. They do view the term warlock as being someone who would be dishonest and that would break with society in general.
You sound like a whiny goth kid.
I
Yeah.
it, I'm giving you the history before we go into the pop culture stuff.
I met him.
And this is the last slide, I promise. But what about What about necromancers? Well, the answer actually is, and this is actually I did find
Yeah, it's
interesting because I'm a
yawning.
nerd. They're the happy middle ground between a witch. So a witch can be good or bad, but they can use their powers for good. A warlock can't. Necromancers, according to a lot of folklore and history in a global context, you didn't want to be one. You weren't supposed to be one because it was bad to pursue the magic that was linked to death.
Yeah.
However, once you pursued this morally questionable or dangerous art, if you got good at it, you could actually do good with necromancy. You could connect people with their ancestors. You could use it to solve crimes, by communicating to people that had been murdered. And so it was kind of this more morally ambiguous than a lot of folklore. It was bad to pursue it. And a lot of histories and folklore will say, oh, if you pursue it, that's bad. However, if you have it, once you have pursued it, you can turn it to the good. You can help restore natural balance with the help of the dead and things like that.
They've
So
got the Riz.
yeah, that probably 6, 7. I don't know. Anyway, the point being,
You don't
I
talk
wanted
to
to
the
talk
kids.
about this very briefly, and I said, "Hey, look, last slide."
And look, you failed.
But no, it's less than 5 minutes. Would have been less than 4:45 if you hadn't
James,
interrupted
is
me.
that hair still
Um,
sticking out
it
there?
is.
Yeah,
It
can
is.
you
You should.
come get
You
that
know
one
what
right
you
here?
need for that, Joe, is a
What?
witch or a necromancer, not a warlock. He'll just break his oath.
I
He'll turn
don't
that
need
hair
him
against
breaking
you.
the oath. I need to get my bush on my face under control.
And that's why you don't want a warlock. He'll just betray you and take over your
I
facial
don't need
hair,
a
I guess.
warlock for betrayal. I have you all.
Oh, I would never betray you.
Oh, you all don't have anything to betray. It's
I would
everyone
say
else.
I would never put forth that much thought.
No, no, no.
Anyway, but I wanted to share that because it does pop up a lot in pop culture, especially in modern pop culture, that some pop culture says a witch is automatically a female, a warlock is male. Historically, that's not accurate in folklore. But also that there's this, that warlocks and necromancer and they're all the same. It's all witchcraft. And again, if we look at folklore, especially Scottish folklore, that is not always the case. They were very, very distinct, and one witches were at times acceptable. And by the way, historically, they were acceptable for a long time until a certain church showed up and said, "No, no, no, you shouldn't suffer a wish to live." And then they got really complicated.
Is it Protestants?
Um, uh, uh, Christianity more generally, but yeah,
Why do they gotta ruin everything?
I don't know.
Damn
I don't
Democrats.
know. It's it's the entire. There's that great quote, which I guess is actually based on a true story, where the missionary people were doing missionary work among people that had been cannibals, and they thanked them for it, and then they said, "But wait a minute, if we hadn't known, would we have went to hell?"
To hell.
And they went, "No, I mean, you probably would have went to limbo, but you would have went to hell. So now that you've told us about hell, we're at risk of going to hell. Did you really help us?" Anyway, that's an entire.
I mean, that's really good logic for people who eat other people's a-holes.
Well, not just that. They're not like just eating human hot dogs, Joe. They ate everything. They didn't. Well, they weren't a wasteful people. Most cannibals, it was not. It was not easy to.
I really
cook
don't get into cannibal culture that much, and so don't know that much about
You haven't read it. You really should do some ethnographic studies of it. It's fascinating to think about
I
how
don't
they
think
do
that's
it
a
and
good
how
way to
they.
say that.
Oh my God. I'm trying to have an intelligent conversation and I
With
don't have the
idiots.
equipment. I was saying,
With
and I
an
don't have the
idiot.
equipment to do it either. And I try. And it's
Oh
just
my God, does he try, Chad?
try.
He tries what?
I need 3 other non-blondes to back
Chad
me up
is
on this.
literally zoned out for the last 10 minutes.
He's on. Hold on.
I am preparing myself.
He is on them pills.
He's on them pills. Just
Hold
like
on. Let me make this
Thomas
timely and get
told us
us.
he would be.
Let me make this timely and get us in trouble, Chad. Chad.
Hmm?
Chad. Did your mother take Tylenol when she was pregnant?
More than likely, yeah. That and the heroin.
Oh yeah, no. I mean that's fine.
I think the heroin just equals out.
That probably balanced it out. You're probably fine. I wouldn't.
And the fact that, and we were talking about this earlier, so I'll let the show know. I'm not, because not circumcised.
Yeah, no, and now that we know it takes both of those, but now I have several fears. Is that one of the reasons why I have an obsession with the way what I ended up studying and getting a doctorate. Is that what caused that?
Yeah, imagine
I
what you
I
could have
mean,
been if you hadn't had Tylenol and had your wiener clipped.
I I I I mean, Dan Aykroyd is on the spectrum, and he wrote Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers. That was his, thing. What did I get? Oh, look, he goes into archives and finds stuff.
You got
What?
Bonehead Weekly.
Yeah, that totally equals out to Ghostbusters. Oh, I'm sad now. What are we talking about? Let's talk
Well,
about witches.
this was your topic, or is it
I
Chad?
know.
It's Chad's topic.
No,
It's
Chad,
it's
everything's Chad's topic, but
everything's
Chad
Chad's
did
topic.
tell it to me to share with the
Chad, will
group.
you tell us about our topic today?
so we're talking
Since
about
you were the one that
witches.
came up with it.
We're talking about our favorite witches,
Yeah.
and there are so many
Okay.
across comic books, cartoons, movies. I left out TV, but there are plenty in TV.
I can't believe we had this is a conversation we had before we started recording. I seriously could not believe we hadn't done witches yet.
I thought we did, and I really did. And then when James said it, I was like, "Oh,
It's a good topic. I don't know why we didn't have it done it for Halloween before.
I know, right?"
But it works perfectly, and there are so many good ones.
Well, and
Yeah,
the thing about it is it works really well because, and let me steal from a film that
Let me put my
probably is
glasses
going to
back
come
on so I
up.
can see that Dr. Thomas. So
Uh,
look
is probably going to come up.
in that
Is
one hair.
are you a good witch or are you a bad witch?
I'm
The fact that we can talk about good witches and bad witches and all that stuff. It really is a unique, and again, going back to that intro that I did,
yeah.
it's not it's not warlocks. It's not it throughout a lot of stories and history and all of that stuff, witches have been seen as okay, and they have been seen as terrible. And so we do have things like The Wizard of Oz, where there is a good witch and a bad witch, or if you're a fan of Wicked, morally gray witches. Uh, and so I'm going to get be snap back on that one. But I mean, again,
Snapback, or you were going to say blacklisted? I have no idea. I've still never watched the movie, so I have no idea.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's just really, I think it's a great topic because it's not just, I mean, it's a great Halloween topic anyway, or a spooky season topic, but
Spooky.
it is an area that, again, yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how we didn't touch on it more deeply in our, I don't know,
yeah.
what are we up to? 444 episodes?
We're up to 783.
Actually, probably if you count Bonehead shorts or
Oh,
whatever, and
if you recorded all the Scarefest interview, all the Scarefest things, all the Bonehead fun size, yeah, absolutely. Now, who wants to go first? I do have a little bit of a diatribe, so I don't know if you all want me to go first or want
yeah,
to go
go
first.
ahead.
Yeah, you all get your diatribes out of the way. James did his. Now you do yours.
Animated witches. Chad, you going to help me out on this one?
I have several.
I
Yeah,
want you to tag me in. Because when you start doing a deep dive, so my favorite animated witch of all time
same here.
was stuck between two. One was Trick or Treat, the 1952 Disney RKO short. And if you've ever seen it, it's with Donald Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie come over to trick or treat.
This is not the one I thought Joe was going to go.
Well, I'm not done.
I know.
I'm going to connect it all. He's being a dick and won't give them candy.
Oh, I
What,
thought you said I
Donald?
was. I'm like, I
Not
didn't
sweet.
say anything.
Donald is
Not
being a
not
dick. Chad
sweet,
is
sweet
being a
Donald.
dick by existing. Donald's being a dick by not giving them candy. And when they come over, there's this witch. Now, Chad, do you know the witch's name?
I do not.
Chad, this is what's
Oh,
going to connect it for both of you. Hazel.
yes, Witch Hazel. Yes.
That's a common name. Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite cartoons. I watch it every spooky season. My kid and I watch it, that and Lonesome Ghost by Disney as well, and a few others. The Disney ones and Sleepy Hollow, right? Cut to what, Chad, is called. Have you ever heard of something called the Looney Tunes?
Yep. One of my favorite witches of all time.
Bewitched Bunny, Chad.
Yep.
Right?
Hmm.
So, do you know who voiced Witch Hazel in Hazel the Witch in Trick or Treat the 52? Just take a
I,
guess, Chad.
I am. I'll be honest with you. I didn't prepare it, so James, you go because I can't remember the lady's name. I can
Is
tell
it
you
June
everything that she's
Foray?
done.
It's got to be
It's
June
June
Foray.
Foray. It's
June
June
Foray.
Foray. Do you know in 1954? Are you all listening to me?
If
2
my whole
years
fam
later,
if my whole family wasn't asleep, I would have done the Lena Hyena bit.
2 years later, right? Bewitched
Yeah,
Bunny, directed by Chuck Jones. Do you know who voiced that witch? Who's also named what?
June Foray.
Witch Hazel.
Yeah,
And by the way, do you know who directed Trick or Treat?
no,
Jack Hanna.
mm,
Do you have any idea of where that Hannah came from?
no idea,
Hannah,
no
Barbera.
idea.
yeah.
Jack Hanna, the guy that brought them animals onto them talk shows.
Actually, I can't prove that it was anything to do with Hanna-Barbera, but I wanted to say it.
Shoot, James, I should have made that joke.
So those are two of my favorite witches in cartoons. And I'm bringing it, and I wanted you to help me with this because one is Disney, but if you go back and watch it in 50, that cartoon looks perfect. Just the animation. Just watch the animation. That you forget that Disney was always so ahead of the actual, just how good it looked, right,
Yeah.
guys? It just did. And the cartoon works great, still works great. And then Witch Hazel in 54's Bug Bunny one, she has a lot more personality, but it's still June Foray doing the same character, only the witch is fucking green.
And she's funny.
By the way, this
Well,
is
they're
not.
both kind of funny, but she's more funny in the Bugs Bunny one. I get it. They're just
Mhm.
more character. But the animation isn't quite as good. But it's also Chuck Jones who gives it that surreal, what we always expect from Hanna-Barbera. What the surrealness, in my opinion, and feel free to tell me I'm an idiot because both of them know more about cartoons, especially Chad. The surrealness of those characters from the 40s, 50s, and 60s has never been translated properly in anything they've ever done in the last 30 years. The
Mm,
characterization of just how bonkers they are, and not just crazy. And we're not talking about the mask and that. We're talking about they're just random ass weirdo people that are so funny and so interesting and so three-dimensional. They've never done a good job with that. And I
right.
think they always miss the point with the Looney Tunes every time they try to reboot it, whether it be another Space Jam, whether another which one just came out, the ketchup did,
Oh,
the
the
release,
day the Earth blew up.
the day the Earth blew. They got that movie to me, especially the first 30 minutes, got about 30% of it correct. More than most.
I thought it got better near the end. Like the
Yeah.
beginning, I was like, doesn't feel. But about the middle, when it got Madcap, that's what I wanted.
There
I
are
wanted
so
to,
many good jokes though in the first couple 10
yeah.
minutes that are here, like the original Looney Tunes are here and here. So they're just surreal to me. I
I,
can't think of a better word. I'm sure James is smarter than me and can think of a better word. But
uh,
go ahead.
I just want to tag in real quick about June Foray.
Yeah,
If you're good. So this was going to be on
I'm fucking great.
this was going to be on my honorable mentions, but since Joe's bringing up
J.
Witch
Joe.
Hazel and
J. Joe Edwards.
June Foray also did another witch for Disney, and she was on my list. The Great Magica De Spell from DuckTales.
Oh, that's
You
good.
didn't do Madam, one of your other favorite
She
witches?
also did she also did Ma Beagle, but uh, Magica De Spell for June Foray is Magica De Spell.
By
And
the way, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's a less subtle, more evil witch than any of the ones she's previously played. So, and it was later voiced by Catherine Tate from Doctor Who fame for the reboot of DuckTales and the
I know I was
uh,
about to say in the reboot of DuckTales, Magica De Spell is that Blenheart Glomgold is much more a comedic villain. It's really Magica De Spell's the villain
mhm.
in a lot of those episodes because she has an entire arc.
Yeah. So yeah, when you were talking about June Foray, I had to jump. I was waiting to jump in, and I kind of missed the boat on that one. But yeah, she also did the voice of Magic at Spell, and I can let's say my other two animated, which is for honorable mentions.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
I just wanted to throw that out there that I find
It
it fascinating that they're within. I didn't know if either one of you.
because you are missing a big one.
But there's several more.
Can-
We could spend 2 episodes on witches, but
Yeah.
the two of my favorites are within 2 years of each other, voiced by the same woman
Hmm.
with the same damn name
yeah, in rival companies.
and
By the
rival
way,
companies.
which by the way is just proof of how phenomenal June Foray was. If you don't know who June Foray is she's Rocky the Squirrel. She's just
Natasha.
Granny. She's Natasha. She's Granny from Tweety.
Hmm.
By the way, it has nothing to do with witches, but you brought up the Looney Tunes. One of my favorite Looney Tunes Halloween episodes, very similar, and actually often gets packaged with the Witch Hazel episode, is the Bugs Bunny Dracula one. Just where he's singing he mixes up the spells and
Abracadabra.
yeah,
Hocus
hocus pocus,
pocus.
and he does hocus cadabra, and it messes with the van. I don't know why, but that one brings me joy. Has nothing to do with witches. I'll shut up now. Chad,
All
you
right.
want to go?
Oh, I'll go first.
I went
Got-
first.
Oh, sorry. Then I'll go second.
That's
Uh,
right, bitch.
I'll just say the name, and I'm curious if you all know where this is from. Meg Mucklebones.
No.
I
But
went to school with Meg Bunkle. I have no idea.
oh no, it wasn't Meg Mucklebones. It was Moose Knuckle.
So as soon as you'll know which one
Joanna
I'm talking
Moose
about.
Knuckle.
And then I have another quiz question for you. So Meg Mucklebones is, of course, the swamp hag from Legend, who
Oh.
gave me all kinds of nightmares as a kid.
You know,
She
that's
was
such a
legitimately.
powerful image.
She is way more terrifying than the darkness was, in my opinion. Meg Mucklebones terrified me when
But
she
you know,
jumps
I
out of
had
that swamp.
being alone.
How did you feel about the wolf in Neverending Story?
Never bothered me.
It didn't bother me, but I loved it.
Yeah, me too. But
It
Meg
was
Mucklebones.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Now here's the quiz, guys. And if you all don't know this, that's fine. But if you do, when I tell you, you're going to be shocked. Can you all guess who played Meg Mucklebones?
Meg Foster.
No.
I knew it wasn't Meg Foster. I just want to say Meg Foster.
I think it's Meg Ryan.
Robert Picardo.
I actually think I knew that and
What?
forgot. Yeah.
Coach Cutlip? By the
You
way,
mean
that's
from
for three
Coach
people.
Cutlam from the Wonder Years, Coach?
Yeah.
Cutlam?
I am surprised he didn't pull out Voyager.
I did
But-
that intentionally. This is the backstory on that joke for anybody that cares
I know.
is that for my first anniversary when my wife and I first got married, she got me tickets to the 40th anniversary for Star Trek in Chicago, and one of the guests was Robert Picardo. And my wife, not being a huge Star Trek fan, she watched them but wasn't obsessed like I am. We went, and Robert Picardo came out, and my wife actually went, "Oh my God, it's Coach Cutlip!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's Robert Picardo. He's also in Gremlins." And she was like, "I did Coach Cutlip." Yes, it did. Yes, you did.
That's, so the reason why I picked her is she's not your typical witch. She doesn't have magic spells. She doesn't, have potions or anything like that. She literally is a swamp hag who jumps out of the swamp and will use her razor sharp claws to not only kill her prey, but drag them down into the swamp where they will drown and she can feast on them. That's her whole shtick. But she is classified as a swamp hag, which the definition of hag is an old witch.
Yeah.
So I had to pick her out because I had to pick her out first because I just can't tell you how much I love that movie. And even when I knew after watching it repeatedly, she would jump out, her just completely covered and dripping of water, and that voice that Robert Picardo does, and and she's using those long just fingers at Tom Cruise and the rest of his troop. It's just terrified me to this day.
I haven't seen it in so long. I don't barely remember it.
I would say I haven't. God,
It's
I
not
was
one of those
probably-
movies. I appreciate how it's made, and I appreciate that you love it. But it was never one that connected with me, no matter how hard I try. And it
Yeah,
should
it connected with me
because
I
it
know
has
me and your wife.
everything I love.
Right. I know it connected with me and your wife when as kids. So yeah, I just always loved it.
I
But
mean,
it was mostly because of Tim Curry's darkness and now that I know Robert Picardo is this Meg Mucklebones, which still it just I can't wrap my head around Robert Picardo as playing Meg Mucklebones.
By the way, just in my mind, wouldn't it be cool just to have been on set with Tim Curry and Robert Picardo just hanging out?
Oh no, dressed in those costumes.
But they
Yeah.
probably were they ever actually together at the same time?
In
Who
this theater,
knows?
they were.
Yeah, in this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Tom Cruise was off by himself, just being sad.
Yeah. Well, if you guys don't know who Robert Ricardo is, he is the one who is the trash man in The Birds. I'm sorry. James got the more obscure one. I was just like,
I seriously credit for my wife because I had to be like, "What is that?" Oh,
I
it's
don't
Wonder
know
Years.
that either. I didn't watch the year.
Wonder
I
Years.
watched a
I
few of the Wonder
He
Years.
was the coach, and was he also the driver's ed instructor? Like it was the same character, but he
I
also
don't know. I
instructed
never
them.
watched the shit. I've watched episodes of it, but I don't know.
I just remember, I think there's an episode where he hated the sound of tearing paper, and at the end there's a protest, and all the students pull out paper and tear. I think that's Robert Picardo's character.
James, do
and
we?
I could have pulled out a canine reference, but I chose not to.
That's mighty big of you. The noblest deed embiggens the humblest man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he's a big of me, all right.
what's big of me is big of you. Anyway, I'm going to go with one that honestly I did not initially think about, and then as I was doing a little bit of research to talk about other ones, it kept coming up as being one of the most important witch symbols to popularize the goth among people in the late 90s through the early 2000s, and God bless them for that. Um, it's the Hex Girls from Scooby Doo.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realize, I never made that connection because I'm
I
old.
didn't either.
But a lot of if you, I have been besieged lately by goths popping up on my Facebook reels. Um,
Besieged.
besieged.
So sad
Um,
about it.
dude, it's getting ludicrous. Like I don't know what I searched for,
Speed.
um, but anyway, yeah, they're everywhere. Anyway,
You were besieged by the goth, barely clad women that you were searching for.
no,
It's so
that's the
shocking.
entire thing. I literally, by the way, this is a true story. Now that we brought this up, I literally handed my phone to my wife. I'm like, look through everything I've searched for. What caused this? Because I literally, it's all history stuff. It's all work stuff. It's all, um, and my wife's theory is where I researched the history of gender and education. That I've researched gender so much, it's like, oh, he wants women. Oh, anyway, but the Hex Girls, if you don't know, um, were a band that were part of Scooby Doo. And I know what you're thinking. Just like Jerry Reed? Yes, just like Jerry Reed. They performed songs on
Pretty
stage.
little
However,
sunshine, she's all right with me.
they were a quote unquote fictional, they're not, Jerry Reed was very much real. They were a fictional band that were eco goths. They were concerned about the health of the planet. But in some of their appearances, they actually did have magic powers. They were descendant of Wiccans. Um, but it did have actually a big cultural effect because this was a cartoon aimed at kids, and it quote unquote is given credit on a lot of sources for normalizing gothic imagery, goth as in, the makeup and all that stuff, not architecture. Goth
Yeah.
imagery in cartoon settings, and a lot of children, and it, again from what I read, particularly young girls gravitated toward those characters because they were supposed to appear in one film, which I believe was Scooby Doo and the Curse of the Witch. I had this pulled up and I lost it because I'm an idiot. Um, but they became so popular that actually they have popped up in different ways in other Scooby Doo. As a matter of fact, at one point they were going to get their own spinoff
Hmm.
because they were so popular. And so, yeah, I'm sorry. They first appeared in Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost, which was a direct to tape DVD production, and they're suspects in this crime. Spoiler alert: Scoob and the gang solve it. Um, but they're musicians, and then they came back because they were really popular. There is actually a song which you can listen to on Spotify, and maybe I should have put on our Halloween uh, listening thing on Spotify, called Hex Girls, and it is actually popular. People still listen to it. Matter of fact, in those feeds that Joe is making fun of me for having pop up on my reels, there
Not
are
making fun of you.
people that are dancing to it this year. That Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost first came out in 1999.
I didn't know that.
And so that's what I'm saying. There's a
Was it
lot
a
of
thing to play off of the Blair Witch?
no, they're actually, I mean, they're completely kind, right? They're good witches, even though they get
I
framed for
know,
this.
but
I
witches
don't
were just
think.
such a thing. It's a pop culture thing right around that time.
Well, but I mean, even if you go before that, Scooby-Doo for a long time, when it did do, when it allowed for, because Warner Brothers actually after this one came out, kind of put a kibosh on supernatural things actually being Scooby-Doo. They went back to it having to be humans. But there was that period of time when 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo
With
with Vincent
Vincent
Price,
Van who?
Vincent Van Ghoul,
Ghoul.
which I've been called a ghoul before, wear it like a badge of honor. Anyway, and then you also had Scooby Doo
You keep
and the Ghoul
going.
School,
The
where,
Ghoul
where
School.
they, if you've never seen Ghoul School, it's where they work at a school for ghoul. It's all monsters,
It's
and
where the people who aren't dead try to have a ski off to see who's going to get to run the Ghoul School.
Scooby Doo and Shaggy end up working at this school for monsters. It's a movie that they did. Anyway, so they had played with this concept before, but the Hex Girls caught on, and they returned again in Scooby Doo and the Legend of the Vampire, where the Hex Girls are supposed to be the opening act for the Vampire Rock Music Festival in Australia. Now, I've never been to Australia, but if there is actually a vampire festival down there, hey, Glenn, let me know. Anyway, so, but it was another one. In Scoob, the movie,
How many are you doing of these, James?
the point I'm trying to make is they've
You
never
did a
went away.
PowerPoint for 32 minutes earlier.
It was 4.5, and it was 5, and it would have been 4.5 if you stopped interrupting. Anyway, my point is they're still popping up. And matter of fact, they were supposed to appear in the canceled movie that Warner Brothers canceled for tax reasons. They've popped up in every television series, which is I forget how many television series Scooby Doo has done since 1999. Every one, as a matter of fact, one of them in Mystery Incorporated is older and helps Velma solve crimes and whatnot and all of that stuff. And in August of this year, there's a spin-off book series. The first book, The Hex Girls, A Rogue Thorn, came out August 26, 2025. The import of this being linked to younger girls, quote unquote, discovering goth, and the fact that a lot of people they sell Halloween costumes based on the Hex Girls that are still selling this year. I couldn't, once I started doing research, I was like, I'm going to have to bring up the Hex Girls. As you said, Joe, it's a cartoon example,
Yeah.
but it is immensely popular. They've appeared in comic books, they've appeared, and it's witches performing rock and roll. And I mean, in all fairness, if that was around when I was a kid, I probably would have been interested too,
Well, yeah.
especially if they're goth girls. But that's another issue I'm dealing with. Back
Okay.
to you, Joe.
No, it's James. I mean, Chad. I
No,
forgot who I
no,
was.
No, you went first, Joe.
first.
You went first.
I did? I
Yeah, oh
swear I
my
lost
God.
complete track. I've lost my mind. This is one I'm going to talk about because a lot of people love it. And I do not care for it. And then I did a review for it on Scarefest where I kind of crapped on it because I didn't even know the movie existed. Came out in 2016. And then a dear friend of mine, who's the lady who recommended it was a woman, and a dear friend of mine attacked me about how big of a dumbass I was that I didn't get the point of this. Have either one of you gentlemen, either one of you gentlemen ever seen 2016's The Love Witch?
Oddly
I
enough,
I
it was on
did.
my list.
It's on your
As an
list?
honorable, it was on as an honorable mention because likewise, there have been. It's another one that gets referred to heavily as honoring the historically because
Yes.
historically, Wiccan beliefs, even though that's a male term, technically Wicca, it's a male.
You
It
mentioned that
was,
earlier.
I know, but it was the idea is it's Mother Earth, it's
Mhm.
maternal is what matters.
Chad, you saw it?
I saw it.
And
I'm not a fan.
but people are. Did you
I
know
know.
that?
Yes, I know. I know it has a huge following, but it's just one of those. Again, that I would never criticize people and it just was not for me.
Oh, I
I was
criticize
bored.
people all the time.
I was
So
so bored. Oh,
It,
I know you criticize people. You criticize us on a daily
What?
basis.
Well, I
I
can't get through talking without being
and
criticized.
by
How
the way,
dare
I would
you?
never criticize anybody. He's criticized us all the time. He criticizes people. He just doesn't do it on air. The thing is that with the Love Witch, as I get the campiness of it. That
Yeah.
it's got the 60s motif and it has the but it's such a movie that's empowering to a certain generation of women.
Hmm.
And that's the part I can't connect with because to me, she's an idiot,
Hmm.
Well, that's
right?
because you're sexist.
Maybe.
Hashtag feminism.
I'm not
I,
arguing. You
I,
feel
I'll
free
be,
to
I'll
attack
be,
me on this.
I seriously cannot argue any of this because, and again, to those people who love that movie, that's fine. I was just so bored. I have completely forgot everything about the movie.
I mean, there's some lines in it that are funny
Yeah.
in an absurd way. The acting's terrible, but
But I think that's intentional.
right. But the thing is that it just empowers so many different women and apparently men too. Like I said, I got attacked. Scott, he's a wonderful person. We're longtime friends, but he was just going off on me. I think at Comic-Con last year about how I didn't get any of it, and he's right. I couldn't accept it. Was it? I
Yeah.
didn't get it, and I don't see how it's empowering because to me. She's just a user who's not all that bright, never thinks anything out, and wants love. To me, she's just a needy person. I don't understand the empowerment of it. And the reason why I brought it up was because I was trying to think of things that were, I knew I was going to go with my favorite animated witches, but I wanted to talk about something that I know is popular, but I just don't get. And I was hoping one of you all would be able to sway me out of it, but I don't understand it. So I'm curious if you're listening now or you're watching, if you can take 5 minutes, especially if you're at Scarefest next week, 5 or 10 minutes, find me and say, I want to talk to you about the love. I will find 5 minutes for you. You can tell me how this is empowering to people, to women specifically, because I don't understand.
Hmm. I
I
just,
I mean, I
And
haven't
it could be
seen it.
because I'm completely sexist and missing something. I
Well,
am not above knowing that I'm so flawed. I have so many flaws.
I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've seen it. It was recommended to me by someone who absolutely loved it. And it took me a
And the
while to
people who
find it.
love
It
it.
took me a while to find it, to be honest, when they first recommended, which was not recently. But I do remember watching and honestly, it's one of those things that I think it in some ways, and maybe this is it, maybe you've hit the nail on the head, Joe. You get a little bit out of it what you bring to it.
That
Like
maybe.
if ultimately you are like certain characters and your goal is only love and you ignore everything else, then certain actions make much more sense. If you are more prone to cynicism or I don't know, pessimism, then you look at that character differently. And then the question becomes so have you missed as you said, did you miss the point or is it that you can't live in the world that person lives in? Right or wrong? I don't know.
She is
But
so obsessed with finding love.
yeah,
And she's willing to do potions, go hang out with these losers. And maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm talking myself into, it's really tough out there. And I don't doubt it. It's really tough out there for women because so many men suck. I get that. I'm not arguing that point at all.
I mean, actually, I think, and in general, I think,
People suck.
yeah, it's
Men and
people suck.
women. That's always
People,
my
yeah, I
comeback.
mean, but I mean, to quote one of my all-time, and I very rarely use these terminology that I'm going to use here, but it's one of my favorite quote from the show, The IT Crowd. People, what a bunch of bastards.
This is
mhm.
true, though. All right.
Yeah.
Who's next?
It's me.
Hmm.
So my next witch, uh, goes by one name, but she actually had to change her name in the ninth century because it used to be Shithouse. Talking
Oh,
about
Latrine.
talking about Latrine from Robin Hood Men in
Sorry, I
Tights.
didn't mean to take it away from you.
You're fine. I don't care. Played by
ah,
the amazing Tracy Ullman.
It's one of the best
oh,
lines in the movie.
Yeah,
What was the
and
old
a movie
name?
that is, huh?
Just sorry. What was it? What did you mean you changed it to latrine? It was shit house.
It used to be Shithouse.
Sorry. It's just a good line.
And the way she delivers it so
Uh,
nonchalantly in her weird cackly voice, it just hits, and it still hits because you know it's coming, but it still hits every time. So yeah, Latrine is in Robin Hood Men in Tights. She plays the advisor to the Richard Lewis's Prince John, but she has a really huge crush on the Sheriff of Rottingham, played by the amazing Roger Rees. And it just her like pining after the Sheriff of Nottingham is what makes her character so great. But she's also an evil witch. And yeah, technically I could have picked the witch from Robin Hood Men in Tights, but she's not as entertaining. Did I say Robin Hood Men in Tights again? Robin
yeah.
Hood Prince of Thieves. She's not as entertaining as Tracy Ullman and Latrine. So there's not much more I could say other than if you haven't seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, it's not a great film.
I
It's that and Dracula Dead and loving it.
There,
Steven Weber said one time it's like it was great to do a Mel Brooks film. Unfortunately, I got to do the kind of the Mad magazine of the Mel Brooks films.
yeah, these were
I
almost they could have been made for TV
Yeah.
movies.
Mel Brooks actually I read a thing that he did recently, and his commentary was Dracula Dead and Loving. He wanted something he's put on the proverbial shelf next to Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I forget who they said originally they thought about for Dracula, and he said it was wonderful that it didn't work out, that they got Leslie Nielsen. But
Yeah,
that then the comment, and this comment wasn't by Mel Brooks. I forget who said this, was the problem is they also got Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's true. And he's a really good straight actor and he was great as Frank Drebin, but other roles it's diminishing returns.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I had to pick Latrine. So James, you're up.
I'm going to actually do one, and this is
Oh,
actually based.
it was Frank Langella.
That's who they wanted for originally.
Yeah, for Dracula Dead and Loving It. Yeah.
They want him to come back and play Dracula again? I didn't know
Mhm.
that. Oh my God, that would have been hilarious.
I'm going to go with a real
I love it.
person.
He didn't
And
get humor and was fired. Sorry,
uh,
James.
no. By the way, that's how I want to go out. Wouldn't that be great in our jobs if they just came in one day? Listen, you don't get humor, so we're
I
going
would,
to have to let
I
you
swear
go.
to God, I would fall out of my chair laughing if somebody walked in you know exactly if somebody
Yep.
walked in and goes, you just don't understand humor. I would have
Can
just,
I pick the person who gets to walk in?
And
Because
then
I've
and
got
then
some candidates.
yeah,
and they would say evidence of you don't understand the love witch.
love witch.
Yeah. Oh man, I've got a new one I've got to do now. Dang it. Anyway, but I'm going to do this one first. This
Do
is
it.
actually based on a real person, and I'm not going to talk about that. They popped up in films, they popped up other places, but I want to talk about this person because they have popped up so many places in music, and it's the Witch Queen of New Orleans, Mary Laveau. Mary Laveau, very real person.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah, the 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 stories about her, actually she was a midwife, which is historically what you didn't want to be because you're going to be accused of witchcraft. But even in modern times,
Hmm.
people went to her, modern-ish times, people went to her for help because they believed that she had powers, and she built up not an inconsiderable amount of wealth. She didn't die
I
until
don't know
1881.
anything about this. This is beyond I'm such a,
So
I know a
her
little. I don't know a lot. So
I probably know because if you live anywhere near New Orleans, and where I lived in southern Mississippi and went to New Orleans a lot, people talk about this stuff still today. Her full name was Mary Catherine Laveau. She was a Creole, and she
yeah.
practiced voodoo. She was an herbalist, and she was a midwife. And she got to be really well known in New Orleans, and she actually did become known in her lifetime as the Voodoo Queen. Her daughter also practiced root work, and her daughter incorporated Native American spiritualism in it that she continued after Marie Laveau died. What's really um, interesting about this, she combined voodoo with Roman Catholicism. as the name Mary Catherine probably gave away that was a little bit of her origin. What's really interesting about it is if you do go, they've got plaques up about her. She was very much involved. The um the interesting part is some of the stories about when she died, she left curses, she left all of this stuff. That there was a hurricane. She warned people that if they tried to throw her a traditional funeral, there would be issues. And allegedly there was severe storms and things like that. Those stories pop up on occasion. But interestingly enough, um, the Archdiocese of New Orleans maintains a cemetery, and has been critiqued sometimes for how they treat her monuments and things like that. Here's why I wanted to bring her up. She has her own corner market in music. Um, the example that came to my mind, matter of fact, if you do listen to, we do have a Halloween playlist on Spotify that's 6 hours long. It has two songs about her, and it's because they both get play around Halloween. If you're a country music fan, you may know about it because of Bobby Bare. Bobby Bare did a song called Marie Laveau, which most people know for the chorus where he screams, and then the next lyric is "Another man done gone." And it's about somebody going to marry her, and she makes them rich, and then they said, "I'm too rich to marry you," and so she kills him. That's the song. That's the story of the song. Now, that actually, though, Bobby Bare didn't write that. It was written by somebody that wrote a lot of country songs that most people don't know about, because most people my age know about him because of his poetry books for children, like Where the Sidewalk Ends. Shel Silverstein, who also wrote A Boy Named Sue, made famous by Johnny Cash.
Never heard of him.
Marie Laveau, though, Bobby Bare wasn't the first to perform that song. He made it popular on country stations. Who else performed it? Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
On the cover of the
Now,
Rolling
the
Stone.
other song that is on the playlist that we did though is Redbone. Redbone, the Native American rock group from 1971,
Which
recorded.
is it bad? I didn't know they were Native American until last year.
I didn't know
No,
they
I mean
were
it's
American until right then.
Oh, really?
Well, you didn't know till last year. I just found out right then.
the Witch Queen of New Orleans, which is arguably the more famous of those two songs, was performed by Redbone. Still gets heavy play every Halloween. But it is all about Marie Laveau. It is about her life and what she did. Now, those are the two that I could mention, but if you look up the history of her appearance in music, it goes back forever. They were doing songs about her, quote unquote folk songs, while she was alive. Some of those have been preserved. There is several jazz songs that don't have lyrics, but they seek to capture her spirit. Some examples of those are X Marks the Spot by Joe Sample, recorded in 2002. Um, Volbeat did a modern metal rock opera style one called Marie Laveau. Voodoo Queen Marie by the Holy Modal Rounders. I've never heard that one, I'll be honest. I could go on. There's like 30 different songs dedicated to the Witch Queen of New Orleans, who was again a very real person. And her daughter continued her work after she died into the 20th century. And if you visit New Orleans and you talk to anybody local and say, "Hey, is there anything about Marie Laveau around?" There is, and they'll give you directions. I think there's a couple bars named in her honor and things like that. Uh, so I couldn't do a witch episode without, especially on a pop culture podcast, without saying we have a cottage industry in songs about the Witch Queen of New Orleans. There's so many of these songs. And so if we're talking about witches, she's a real one, whether you believe she had magical powers or not.
You're all I ever want.
But she is very much a part of pop culture. And these movies have been used in songs. By the way, Dr. John has performed several of these different songs as well because he's Dr. John. But again, it does pop up. Oh, the other one I should mention is I know Joe's a huge fan of the band Canned Heat. They also have a song about Marie Laveau.
I'll have to look that up.
Can't believe you didn't know Redbone was Native American rock band.
Didn't you say you learned last year?
Don't recall that.
That was like a few months ago. It wasn't even
No,
last year.
in all fairness, the only thing that would be better is if somehow, while it cut to me talking, when we cut back to Chad, there was nothing but Redbone paraphernalia on the wall, like
No,
all their albums were
seriously,
framed.
yeah, Joe, I was shocked as you. The only reason I know it is I'm a huge fan of the TV show Reservation Dogs, and there actually is a whole episode about Redbone.
Oh,
And then at the end it shows them performing live on a TV show from the 70s, and I'm like, I had no idea. I've loved this band for years, never knew him,
all right.
never bothered to look him up.
By the way, Chad, I also hate to tell you this. The uh the Native American in the YMC and the Village People wasn't actually a Native American.
What? And next thing you're gonna tell me the guy didn't ride a bike.
By the way, also I checked that construction worker, not licensed. He wasn't an actual construction worker.
Those
All
they should be
lies.
ashamed.
All
Round
lies.
3 as we start. I'm having a hard time picking my last one, but what I'm going to do is pick an old time favorite because I'm going to be able to interview this director at Scarefest coming up next weekend. I'm going to pick Halloween 3 Season of the Witch with directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. The movie itself had the balls to not only have a bleak ending when Universal requested that they at least change the ending to make it a little less bleak, but it also had the balls to say, this Michael Myers thing's kind of boring. Why don't we just have a different movie every Halloween and call it Halloween? Well, turns out that didn't work. And as much as it's not real, it's cyborg witches, you old gentlemen have to admit, it is a different take on the whole damn thing. And oh my gosh, as Cochran, what is his name? Oh, from RoboCop, oh, Dan O'Harely, and also from The Last Starfighter. Wonderful movie. Playing as Cochrane just does the old man relish the evil villain.
That's the other movie I wanted to steal from your house when you weren't home.
Season of the Witch.
No, Last Starfighter.
It's a good picture.
Can't believe I forgot that. I had to
He
watch
plays an
Sorcerer.
alien in that.
I had to watch Stupid Sorcerer.
Yeah, that's a terrible picture.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I know.
But I
And
have a complaint, which we'll talk about when we're not talking about witches.
The only complaint you can lodge at that movie is it takes 45 minutes to put them all together.
Nope.
That's the only complaint I have.
Nope.
What's your complaint?
Oh, seriously,
Not-
we're good. You want to get into it now? We're talking about witches.
I'm just curious what it is.
So it's the title.
Yeah, no, that's the second complaint. It's the
Because
worst
the
complaint. It's worse.
It's
title
not
ever.
even the main truck.
It's not even the main truck. It's the worst title, and it's a remake of a movie called The Wages of Fear or The Wages of whatever, which is still a better title than Sorcerer. It's the stupidest title ever. It killed it.
That is an amazing movie that a lot of people haven't watched, including myself, until this week, and I was mesmerized. I couldn't turn it off.
Yep.
William Friedkin, maybe William Friedkin's best film.
You know what Bill Friedkin always says?
Hmm.
Should have. Roy Scheider just knocked. No. Should have. Yeah, Steve McQueen.
He was great.
I don't disagree with you, Chad. I just think it's funny that he would not give Steve McQueen what he wanted, which was just to shoot it somewhere else.
Right.
That's his one big regret. Not that he named the movie badly.
Yeah.
or
Also,
anything.
such a stupid title.
It is a
Go
stupid.
ahead.
All right. So back to what I was saying. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The witches are like cyborgs, and there's this whole Sam Hain thing, and they've basically brought all of Stonehenge over to America for a toy company so they can put masks on these kids and kill them all over on Halloween night. Did I miss anything?
No.
Sounds batshit crazy, and it is. But everyone really despised this movie when it came out. They even tried to, in the ads, do an ad where, this is not Michael Myers, but people still got pissy. Hell had that down ending. And John Carpenter says that because Universal wanted that more upbeat ending, that they just kind of dumped the movie, that they didn't really put the advertising behind it. I don't know. I wasn't there. There are other better witch movies, but it is a very unique movie. And it's still 75% of it holds up pretty well. And that song, Silver Shamrock, 4 more days to Halloween. And I know it's London Bridge is falling down, but it still works. And if you play that, people who even remotely know horror films are going to know what it is. And if they know the Halloween masks, they're going to know what it is. I was waiting
Well,
for somebody to add something to this. Nobody's got anything? Okay, cool.
No, I mean, if you've not seen Halloween 3, you're missing out. I would argue.
It's one of the probably the best sequels. It's Halloween, the Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis, the first one that the not the but the kind of the soft where it's a direct sequel, and Halloween 3. Those are the good sequels.
yeah.
What else is there?
And I may put Halloween 3 second on that list.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Well, are you counting oh the Halloween from 2018?
Mm-hmm. And so
Okay.
what I'm talking about is the
Sorry,
one.
I didn't. I was reading something for my next pick and I got distracted. I'm
I
sorry.
understand you weren't paying attention. So
But
to me it's Halloween, the 2018 Halloween, which I think is really good. That makes complete sense that you do it 40 years later, right? And have all that. It just works. And then Halloween 3. Those are the three good Halloween movies. Now,
yeah,
I enjoy Halloween 4. I enjoy aspects of, I get it. I understand. But as an actual film lover, I know that to me, there's only three good ones.
yeah.
There's just, to me, there's only three good ones. All right.
I would agree with that. My last pick it's the only one that's on the nose, in my opinion. And it's even in the title. I don't know if we've ever talked about how you two feel about this movie, but I really, really enjoyed Witches of Eastwick.
I do. It
I th-
it slightly goes a little off the rails,
which I like. Yeah.
but nonsensical off the rails. But it's George Miller, and he never made a bad movie.
Yeah. And I didn't know this either, guys. Do you realize it was written by John Updike?
No, the
Yeah,
novelist John Updike. I'm sorry.
the novelist John Updike, who only has a few movie writing credits to his name, and this is one of them, Witches of Eastwick. Um, so if you're not familiar with it, because I don't hear a lot of people talk about this film. Uh, Jack Nicholson, is he the devil? What is he? You don't know. But he comes into this small little town. He's weird, he's eccentric, and these three single women played by Cher, Susan
Mhm.
Sarandon, which my lifelong crush of Susan Sarandon started by watching Witches of Eastwick, and the amazing Michelle Pfeiffer. Um, they get into his grasp and he turns them into witches, basically by granting their wishes. Um, and it is just a roller coaster ride of a film. They all three do a great job. I still love the ending, what they do to Jack Nicholson. It's amazing. I
I
just love it.
agree. It's so
I,
much fun, and he
I
was
love,
born to play that role.
yes, he was. Because he starts out as, very what's where I'm looking for?
Debonair.
Debonair gentleman.
DeBoner, Jad. You
Sorry.
like to say
Swave,
Wave and DeBoner.
DeBoner.
And then by the end, he's just this filthy, wretched, evil, like crazy person. It's a fantastic. I just got to talk about a few things about this film that I did not know until I did research. And I don't know if these are true, but I'm going to assume they're true. Um, this movie was one of his hardest movies he ever made because he wasn't used to dealing with Hollywood at the time. And he wanted certain things to shoot the film, like cameras and the studio refused.
You mean George Miller?
Yeah, George Miller.
Yeah.
And they were going to fire him, but Jack Nicholson stood up for him and said, "If you replace him, I'm walking out."
Really?
And yeah, I did not know he was supposed to be fired from this film just because he wanted to shoot it a certain way, and he wasn't used to dealing with Hollywood at the time. And the other one is, of course, everybody's favorite producer, John Peters, who's batshit insane, suddenly decided in the middle of the shoot that he wanted aliens put into the film, probably because of the success of Aliens, which came out at the same time they were filming.
Yeah.
And he even showed up to set with an alien and was demanding to put a guy in a costume dressed as an alien and put it into a movie about the supernatural.
Yeah.
And both Miller and Nicholson walked away and said and they weren't going to film until Peters stopped.
It's so if you don't know who John Peters is, to piggyback a little bit on what Chad
He's
said,
Barbara Streisand's hairdresser.
yes, but he became a Hollywood mogul,
He is, yeah. And
and
he's given us a lot of great films. It's just he's batshit insane.
it is true. Yeah, a lot of things. If you like Batman, I mean, you have to thank John Peters a little bit. If you like, there's a ton of good movies out there that he produced.
Yeah.
There's a great book called Hit and Run about John Peters and was it Peter Goober?
Yeah.
John Peters and Peter Goober about working together in the 80s and exactly how much money they took away from Hollywood. I've got it here somewhere and it's called Hit and Run. He's a fascinating cat who may very well be illiterate.
Yeah. Because that's the whole I was going to mention that too, because that's the whole thing is he requests that people come in and read the scripts to them and kind of play it out because there's this that people believe he's illiterate. He can't read. But I do want to mention one more thing about Witches of Eastwick, and then I'll hand off to James. The other person who does, there's two other people who do not get credit for their performance. They put it first off as Veronica Cartwright
Yep.
as the church going lady who, when she gets violated by Jack Nicholson, just amazing. Also, her descent into just full blown nervous breakdown.
Yep.
For Veronica Cartwright is, and when we talk about character actresses, I always forget to mention her because she is fantastic. And then, of course, her husband, played by the great Richard Jenkins as well, who does another great job of just watching his wife descend into madness. So, yeah, Witches of Eastwick, that had to be my last pick. I know it's on the nose, but I got some obscure ones for my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I have a feeling our honorable mentions are going to be heavy, and we'll just have to go through them quickly because there's a
Yeah.
bunch. There's a bunch, but I yeah. Oh man, I yeah, man, this is hard to pick one final one, and I'm just gonna have to um pull the band-aid off and do it.
Do it.
So I guess the one that comes to mind for me, and it's probably more because of the actress that played her. Um, a little bit of credit to Joss Whedon as well. Willow Rosenberg from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, played
Yep.
by Allison Hannigan, which
Yeah.
probably may be partially why it comes to mind. Um, but in the course of that show, she starts off nerdy and shy, and then she basically, as her powers come to light, as she feels more comfortable using them, however you want to do that,
Hmm.
she becomes a really powerful witch. But then it does what a lot of stories that I know he's complicated now for various reasons, but Joss Whedon historically has had shows that do a great job of showing what power and addiction and identity look like, right? Once she becomes this all powerful witch, what does that actually do, right? Or
Hmm.
not all powerful, but this powerful witch, what does that actually do? How does that affect who you are and how you function and how you view the world? Um, and so it was a lot of people point to that character. You know, the show is called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but a lot of people point to the Scooby Gang around her as being actually why that show worked as well as it did. And Allison Hannigan as Willow is a key part of that. And you know, like many shows of the time, it did have, of course, an evil version of her at one point. But also, it was an early example of a pretty notable, prominent character um, being part of the LGBTQ community as well. So I think that's one of the ones that I wanted to mention um, because it really did zone in on, and I think in many ways brought a lot of attention to that show, which set up a lot of other things that came into being as other witches got reintroduced into pop culture.
Yeah.
I think you see glimmers of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, in the relaunch of, let's say, Sabrina the Teenage Witch when it got rebooted on Netflix, and all of that as well. So that's a crossover point to say, good way for us to lead into our honorable mentions, I guess, because so many of these, when something works, it leads to other things happening that look at witches. And the biggest example right now that comes to mind is The Wizard of Oz has been a hit for how long? And now, how many different reinterpretations of that have we gotten? And I'm not just talking about the fact that Wicked is on Broadway and then was made into a movie, but how many Wizard of Oz unofficial sequels, spin-offs have we seen? There's that one that made no money and was evidently a marketing scam that has a great voice cast. Um, there's several. I mean, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's just get on to honorable mentions then.
All right.
Go.
I've got a couple. I mean, we're really going to get the shit kicked out of us so we don't talk some about some of the famous ones. And
Yep.
one would be the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was. I'm glad you did it because that was my first honorable mention because I don't want to get beat by my
And the
wife.
second one is The Craft, which for people of our age is a pretty influential film.
Yeah,
So
I
a
was
lot
gonna
of
say,
people loved it of our age.
yeah, if kids, if you got turned on to the goth lifestyle by the Hex Girls, go back and watch the Craft.
Yo, yeah, much better. Yeah. So what about you all? I have more, but that's off the top.
Um, so I'll just go through my list. So I this is a very obscure movie from the 1980s. It's not great, but there's two reasons I want to mention it. And she may not technically be a witch, but I think this is the only time I'm ever going to be able to mention the early 80s film The Kiss. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Mhm.
With the Meredith Salinger from Dream a Little Dream, and again another one of my childhood crushes. Who's now married to Patton Oswalt. Um, but The Kiss is about a lady who is cursed and she has witch powers, and in order to be free of it, she has to pass it on to another relative through a kiss. Hence, her niece, played by Meredith Salinger. The witch is played by Joanna Pakula. But the main reason I want to mention this is there's a scene in this film that terrified me for ages, and there's a scene where a girl, she puts a spell on a girl, and she gets trapped in an escalator. And
Mhm.
I was afraid of escalators for a long time after seeing it because it is a brutal scene to watch. Also, let me just, and then I'm just going to bust through the rest of them. Um, Lady Van Tassel and her sister from Sleepy Hollow.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep,
That's
good.
cool. The sister's
Um,
great.
yeah. Rowena McLeod, played by the amazing Ruth Connell in Supernatural.
Mhm. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Any relation to Connor McLeod?
um, now back onto the animated ones that I said I would mention at the end. So we talked about Magic of the Spell, but we got to talk about the other Duck Witch, Morgana Macabre from Darkwing Duck, one of my
Very
personal
cool.
favorites. Evil Lynn from He-Man,
Oh,
Masters
I
of the
never thought
Universe.
about that's a good one. That didn't occur to me.
Yeah. And I know Scarlet Witch gets a lot of credit for Marvel. She's not my favorite witch in comic books. That is, and she was butchered in the Suicide Squad. DC's the Enchantress. So I prefer her over Scarlet Witch. It's just if you don't know comic books and you only know what they did, what David Aker did in the Suicide Squad, that is a butchery of that character.
By the way, a playable character in the Injustice video game series done a lot better
Yeah.
in that than in the movie.
So
All
those are
right.
my picks.
Um, yeah, there's so I'll try to go through this pretty quickly because I, like Joe said, I don't want to be beat.
There's
Um,
just a ton, and it's not that we didn't pick them. I just was trying to go through things that we were trying to go through things that we really like.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
these are all ones that we're aware of. We don't, but we tried to pick some ones that don't get a lot of attention. Here's the ones that do get tons of attention. The witches from the Wizard of Oz, as I alluded to
Mhm.
earlier. A lot of people love, especially the Angelica Houston version, the Grand High Witch from The Witches.
Witches, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I forgot
Um,
about that one. Actually, it escaped my head. I don't know why.
It's on a
and
ton of lists. So is
Also,
and
you
it,
you
Witch.
forgot about the Anna Hathaway as well.
yeah, with it, but oddly enough, some people have mixed feelings about Anne Hathaway. I'll be honest, I have not seen the Anne Hathaway, and it's been a
It's
long
not
time.
great. It's
It's been a
not great.
long time since I've seen the Angelica Houston one as well. So, um, I don't want to get beat, so let me go ahead and mention Hermione Granger, but her counterpoint even in that world, Bellatrix Lestrange. And I didn't realize this when I was doing research for this, that in some reviews of other fantasy material now, actually it's referred to. People use the term Bellatrix as shorthand for a gleeful, violent villain.
Mm.
Mm.
So to be Bellatrixing is to be like Bellatrix Lestrange. Um, for my daughter, I have to mention Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service,
Oh,
as well as Yubaba from Spirited Away.
I've never, that's on a lot of the lists too.
And then the other ones, these are all from books. Books are like those magazines that are bigger. Anyway,
oh, son of a bitch! I just realized I left one out. Go ahead.
I thought you were shocked by books. Sorry, Chad. Um, Granny Weatherwax is one that, if you're a Terry Pratchett fan, Discworld series, she plays around with good and evil are not really things for her. They are what they are, and it is, and she just dispenses this wisdom and dry humor and critical. It's a fun character.
Great,
Um,
yeah, it is a great character.
and it's one of those things that I know we've gotten some films that were Discworld films, but I think if we ever get a great, great big budget Discworld film, you're going to have to make sure you nail Granny Weatherwax, or the fans will kill you. Um, all other old school ones that have been reinterpreted time and time again. When I say old school, I mean literally from Legends. Morgan Le Fay
Yeah.
from the King Arthur Legends.
Dude, you said the yeah, but it's Knight King Arthur and the Knights of Justice.
Sure, yeah, that too.
All
Um,
right, we're in the weeds.
no, no, that's what's called. You don't remember King Arthur and the Knights of Justice?
Morgan Le Fay,
You were,
that's the weeds.
you were,
No, no, but
you're,
okay, keep going.
you were
I know who
probably,
Morgan Le Fay is, yes.
you were probably looking at your pornographies, where me and Chad were watching cartoons like mature people.
Yeah.
Um, I mentioned Sabrina already, but I will say Baba Yaga.
Thank you. That was the one I left off, Baba Yaga, and it's the only good part about the David Harbour Hellboy.
The Slavic folklore. I mean, this is a folklore character. And by the way, it's what I thought you might be referring to when you said they had to change the name earlier, because Baba Yaga has been reinterpreted so
Yeah.
many times. But I'm glad you did Latrine. Latrine was a better pick.
Yeah.
But Baba Yaga is, again, this all a lot of the folkloric things that we associate with witches have been associated with Baba Yaga forever. The brooms, even the idea of being ambiguous, or is she good, is she bad? I mean, there's stories that are historic folklore where Baba Yaga is pretty heroic, and there's
Yeah.
other times when evidently she eats children. It's
Hmm.
fire and ice, fire and ice. Uh again, another mythology, I guess, a Homeric, not the Simpsons myth. Circe, from or Cirque, from the Odyssey. But also, there's been so many retellings of that, including Madeline Miller's book called Cirque. And then
She's
I
also a
really,
Wonder Woman villain.
yes. Well, I mean, and how much folklore is? Who's the? You said the Enchantress. Isn't the Enchantress also a Thor villain in Marvel?
Probably. I'd have to
I
look it
think
up.
so. I think she is a blonde, buxom woman that wears like a very Loki like costume.
Hmm.
If I remember, and if I miss, if somebody listens to this and goes, no, that character is called blah blah blah, please post it in the comments. Um, and I want to close by doing video games, because there's a ton of witches in modern video games that have now been adapted into television shows and everything else. I want to give some credit. Not yet adapted into a movie though. If George R. R. Martin and the other guy who name I'm blanking on, ever adapts Elden Ring, there's Ronnie the Witch, which is a side quest more or less that people became obsessed with. Um, you also have the witches from The Witcher, and if you watch that show, they have brilliantly not cast hideous women in those roles. Yennefer of
Mhm.
Vingerberg and Triss Marigold are the characters there. Um, and then I'll close out with some quick TV examples. Actually, one big TV example is that also, if I don't mention, my wife would be offended because it was one of her favorite rerun shows as a kid. I had Star Trek. My wife had Bewitched.
Yeah,
Samantha
now that's
Stevens.
a good, that is one that we probably should mention, especially if you're a certain age. It's extremely important to people.
Which is, it was one of the things that I didn't realize it this way, that it was of a genre. You had shows like Addams Family and the Monsters, but it was actually of a weird genre where you took something that was fantastic, you took magic and you put it in the suburbs, but
Mhm.
you didn't do it like the Addams Family or the Monsters. She was every other trope. She hid her powers,
Mhm.
all of this stuff, and it also led to these weird. It it was not like All in the Family, except there were occasionally these episodes. One of the famous examples was the episode where her daughter couldn't understand why some people were upset that she was playing with an African American girl in the neighborhood. And so her daughter, I think at that point, her powers had served the show. So she turns other people, African American. And it was, now it's a very problematic way of looking at it. But at the time, it was saying, look, these are still the same people. You've just changed your skin tone.
Yeah.
Again, very dated example now, but it was a way of taking this weird sitcom about somebody that had witch powers that she hid from everybody and still making it occasionally able to make commentary about gender roles, because obviously who really had the power in that relationship? It was Dick York. But once Dick Sargent took over, it was, no, I'm kidding. It was her, obviously, right? Samantha Stevens, the character, had all the power. And so that would be one that I would have to mention as well. I think that's the end of my honorable mentions. I wanted to get in some video games, some television, and some, I've already did music. But the end result is, one of the reasons Chad came up with this topic is, man, our culture has witches everywhere still.
Yeah.
They're fascinating characters, but what is it about the witch that in some ways is more approachable than the vampire? We have way more. Even our vampire shows refer to witches because obviously Jackie Daytona needs his witch's hat. That's for two people. Two of you got that joke. And if you're one of those two people, you deserve a soda.
I can't drink them anymore.
You don't count.
I've meant to do this 5 times during this episode. I want to make a correction on myself, and it's another one of Chad's patented stupid collisions of putting 2 movies together. I mentioned Robert Picardo was in K9. He wasn't. I took his character from Munchies and put it in K9.
Okay.
By the way-
I don't remember it being a K9, but I just assumed you were right.
No,
Well,
I was wrong. He's not. He's not in it. I thought he was.
By the way, I sent this to text to you all earlier, but I wanted to bring it up. It's nothing to do with the show, but I'm going to say it here anyway. The more I've read about the fact we almost got an Underworld Resident Evil crossover, the more I'm like, what a missed opportunity.
There's tons of them.
I know. Somebody needs to do an entire book about what horror movie crossovers almost unleashed. Like what, because the Universal, even the old Universal monster crossovers, it was always like, oh, we could do this, and there were a ton of those that didn't get made. I think it would be fascinating to see what crossovers we could have.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
All
I
right.
probed nothing.
This has been Bonehead Weekly Witches. See you at Scarefest.